All right, today we're diving into the story of one of the oldest and most widespread games in human history, Mancala. Now, you might think you know it, a simple game of strategy and skill, but its story holds an absolutely wild secret. So let's get into it.
I know, it sounds completely impossible, right? How can this ancient pastime, something played for literally thousands of years, have anything to do with the absolute cutting edge of modern science? Well, that is the mystery we're going to unravel today. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around for the answer.
So first off, what is Mancala? Well, it's not actually one single game, but a whole family of them. And here's the most important part. There is zero luck involved. No dice to roll, no cards to draw. It is a pure contest of intellect, kind of like chess or checkers. Your brain against their brain, and that's it.
To find the origins of Mancala, we have to go back, and I mean way back. We're talking about a time so ancient that the evidence itself is a huge subject of debate among archaeologists. I mean, just look at this timeline. It really puts things in perspective. We have potential evidence stretching all the way back to the Neolithic period. We're talking thousands of years before the pyramids were even built. Then we see it pop up for sure in powerful African empires, spread all over the world through trade, and even cross the Atlantic in the most harrowing of circumstances.
Okay, so take a look at this. This is the oldest potential Mancala board ever discovered. It's a limestone slab that's nearly 8,000 years old. And look at that layout. 2 rows of 6 pits. For anybody who's played the game, that design is instantly, unmistakably Mancala. But, and there's always a but in archaeology, here's the catch. Is it really a game board? Scholars are totally divided on this. On the one hand, I mean, come on, that layout seems like way too much of a coincidence. But on the other hand, without any game pieces found with it, it could just as easily have been some kind of ancient counting tool or maybe part of a ritual. The jury is officially still out.
You know, the rules and the strategy are only half the story. To really understand why this game has survived for millennia, we have to see it for what it was. Way more than just a pastime. It was a really powerful cultural force.
And this right here gets to the absolute soul of the game. The very language used to talk about Mancala is tied to farming. You sow your seeds across the board, which represents a field. The whole thing is a beautiful metaphor for the cycles of life, of planting and harvesting that were so central to these early societies.
The game also had this deep spiritual side. In many parts of Africa, for instance, playing Mancala after dark was a huge no-no. It was strictly forbidden. They believed the clicking sound of the stones moving from pit to pit could actually call out to the spirit world, and not always in a good way. And its role in society was just incredibly diverse. Get this, it was used in a kind of sacred electoral combat to choose a new leader. It was played at funerals to entertain and comfort the souls of the dead. It was a social space for women to gather and connect. And, of course, for royalty, it was a status symbol. They'd have these gorgeous boards made of ivory and gold. This was no simple hobby.
So, as people moved, so did their games. It's no surprise that Mancala spread out from Africa and the Middle East to pretty much every corner of the globe. And along the way, it adapted and evolved into hundreds of unique variations.
So you might be wondering, how are all these versions different? Well, one of the key rule changes comes down to how you sow the seeds. In a single lap game, your turn is over as soon as you drop your last seed. Simple enough. But in multiple lap games, if your last seed lands in a pit that already has seeds, you scoop them all up and keep on going. This one tiny change creates a completely different, often way more complex, strategic game.
And this table gives you just a little taste of that global variety. You've got the classic Aware in Ghana. Then there's this game called Bao in Tanzania, played on a massive 4x8 board. A lot of people think it's the most complex and strategic version out there. Over in Malaysia, they play Kongkak, often on these beautiful, carved, boat-shaped boards, which totally reflects their maritime culture. It's amazing. But I think my favorite rule in any version of Mancala is this one, the feeding rule. Basically, if your opponent's side of the board is empty, you are required to make a move that gives them some seeds so they can play. Think about that. The goal isn't just to wipe them out, it's to keep the game going. It's a game built on this idea of community, not just cutthroat competition.
The game's journey now takes a much darker, but also an incredibly powerful turn. We're going to see how Mancala crossed the Atlantic Ocean during the slave trade and how it became this quiet, profound symbol of cultural survival and resistance.
Let's just focus on one place to make this real, the Hermitage Plantation in Tennessee.
Archaeologists digging there have found clear, undeniable evidence that the over 250 enslaved people living there, they kept playing their ancestral game, right under the noses of their captors.
And this is how they did it. With no access to traditional boards or seeds, they just improvised. They used marbles if they could find them, but they also painstakingly, carefully smoothed down broken pieces of pottery and bits of glass to create their own seeds. It's just an incredible story of ingenuity and the human spirit.
These weren't just game pieces. They were so much more. As historians put it, they were signaling devices. In a horrific system that was designed to strip people of their names, their families, and their culture, playing Mancala was a quiet but powerful act of defiance. It was a way to hold on to who you were and to a belief system from a world away.
Okay, so this brings us to the final mind-bending chapter of our story. We've traced this simple game from Neolithic pits all the way to plantation yards. Now let's connect it all back to that wild question we asked at the very beginning.
The incredible journey of this game, a game played with seeds and stones for thousands of years, isn't over. Its final destination is somewhere that literally no one could have ever predicted.
Yep, the world of quantum physics. I'm not kidding. The ancient logic that has powered this game for millennia is now being used by scientists to explore the fundamental nature of our universe.
And here's how it works. It's brilliant. Researchers have developed a model they actually call Mancala. In this model, the quantum particles are the stones, and different quantum states are the pits. And what they found is that using the simple sewing logic from the game is actually a more efficient and effective way to arrange particles into specific, complex quantum states than other methods they were using. The ancient strategy is literally unlocking modern science.
And that leaves us with this one last thought to chew on. We've seen how a game of seeds in the dirt traveled through time, survived against impossible odds, and then found a new life inside quantum labs. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other profound knowledge is hiding in plain sight, just waiting for us in the traditions of our ancestors?